Hello, Lynette. I'm so happy to see you, love. I hope you're having a happy Friday. Well, hello and happy Friday. So good to see you, Lynette. I hope your Friday is going absolutely amazing. I am so glad it's the weekend. I can't even begin to tell you how glad I am it's the weekend. So I am planning on a very relaxed, do much of nothing this weekend. So yeah, it's been that kind of week, but yeah. we I am I had kind of a slow start to my day this morning, but it was good, and it was actually uh, I got to exercise a little bit about what I'm about to talk about, and I was able to remove and release some toxic people out of my world this morning. And it was good. It was very good. I've been talking a lot lately about our negatives, and what processes that we build within ourselves that we utilize that help us gauge and have a value system on who is attached to our life. Do we have toxic people? Sometimes we don't recognize toxic people right off the bat. And it takes a little bit of time because we start to notice sometimes after a while that a particular person, or sometimes even a group of people, well, they don't really contribute anything back to you. They just kind of take from you, drain you out, take you down, take you down, take you down, take you down. They're not doing anything to lift you up. And that's toxic. People that belittle you or demean you. People that really just don't have good character. And oftentimes these toxic people they can pretend really well. So on the surface and in the beginning, oh, they're just the greatest thing since sliced bread. But as time goes on, if we really look, we're able to start seeing some of the signs and recognize these people. Toxic people will drag you down as long as you let them. Toxic people hurt others with their words, often unintentionally, but most of the time it's on purpose. They may feel bad about themselves, so they make other people around them feel bad too. Misery loves, or rather deserves, company. Toxic relationships are often characterized by hurtful remarks, constant sarcasm, belittling, passive aggressive interactions. And the hallmark of being in a toxic relationship is feeling bad after being around the other person, though not always knowing quite why. And if you feel a sense of dread when you see a friend's number appear on your phone, or feel uneasy when required to meet with a certain coworker or supervisor, because you always feel fearful, angry, frustrated after you talk to this person, that is a toxic person. They may lack empathy and can be narcissistically entitled, meaning that if you feel bad as a result of an encounter with them, they're going to say it's your fault. It's not their fault. It'll always be your fault. And sadly, these toxins, get riddled into our life sometimes, and we can easily overlook it for a time. And often that happens until all of a sudden it's taken root. And now we're allowing it. Now we're leaving these toxic people, attached to us, draining us out. So, how do toxic people invade your life? Well, slowly at first, then all at once. Some relationships degrade over time into toxicity because of a conflict, but others are toxic at the start, with those on their receiving end rationalizing their poor treatment as just the other person's, it's just their personality quirk or eccentricity. They may say, like, I like this person, except when he or she does X or Y. But those things actually happen quite regularly. Others may ask them, why do you let him or her treat you that way? or say those things to you. But most times those people don't have a good answer. People are social creatures, especially in the workplace, where the need to fit in and have friends and colleagues you like, or at least can tolerate, is a necessity, since we spend so much time with them. And most of us start out wanting to feel good about other people. We can misread our own intuitive signals about the possibility of toxicity in another person. And usually that's in the interest of wanting to be friends or at least to coexist. You know, women tend to be more inclusive and may tolerate more toxicity in friendships with other women in the hope that time will smooth things out or different ways of interacting will make things better. In dating relationships, the old adage is generally true. If it's bad in the beginning and bad in the middle, it's going to end badly. It's rare that people who couldn't stand each other at the start of a relationship live happily ever after. Toxic people cause stress in others through shouting, losing their temper inappropriately, being mean, saying horrible things, which they often apologize but later say again anyway. And this stress can manifest itself in those on the receiving end as headaches, neck aches, back pain, stomach problems, general anxiety, nagging illnesses, eating and sleeping problems. I mean, you have to understand, being attached or being around toxic people, it doesn't just affect your mind, it affects you physically. It takes a toll on you. You know, when you say, my horrible relatives are coming to town for the weekend, I'll bet it's going to be a lousy time. Well, it typically turns out to be just as bad as you predicted. We don't have such expectations about positive, supportive, empowering people. We look forward to those visits. It's important to really pay attention to the mind-body connection between stress and our physical health. And that's clear. Like, stress on the inside causes stress to manifest on the outside. People having trouble managing stress may hurt themselves with food, alcohol, nicotine, caffeine, prescription or illegal drugs. They might grind their teeth, become sleep deprived, even develop autoimmune or digestive issues. I mean, that list can just go on. And someone in a toxic relationship is like a person in a small boat that's sinking. And the more he or she tries to bail out, the faster that boat's going down. There's little sense in hanging on, waiting for the other person to change, without consequences for their behavior. A therapy intervention or actual signs that they're willing to save their relationship by acting differently immediately is something you'd want to pay attention to. All motivation is self-motivation. If toxic people don't see reasons to change, such as the threatened loss of their job, spouse, kids, friends, or family, guess what? They won't. They're not going to just change overnight. There are options for people dealing with toxic relationships at work. Accept the situation and the other person's behavior as toxic. And then you got to rise above it. And don't let him or her grind you down. Confront such colleagues with direct feedback and ask them not to say or do certain things, specific things around you that you find hurtful. Or go and ask your boss or HR person for a consultation about how to work more effectively with these people. Some people just transfer or quit and feel better the moment that they do. And in this example, I'm talking about like coworkers, but look, this is the same thing that you can do and go and talk to your best friend. Somebody that's removed from that situation that can clearly look in at it and see and be a support system for you to actually do something and get out of it and change. What's the long-term impact when toxic people finally leave you alone or leave your life? Long-time friendships or work relationships that have derailed because of toxic behaviors can be really painful. Some people feel angry at themselves that they let them go on too long, or that they rationalize bad behavior in the hope that the other person would change. Others feel sad that they wasted time, emotions, bad feelings on someone who did not treat them with respect. Toxic people are poisonous. And, there's many things that, we can ingest sometimes. It's like a small amount of poison here and there. And when you do that on a regular basis, just a little bit here, a little bit here, a little bit here, a little bit here, well, guess what? Starts mounting up. Starts getting clogged inside of you. And then you're in that cycle. Now they're just there. They're just there in your life. That poison is just sitting there in your life because it's become your normal. It's become just routine. You get used to dealing with it. And one of the worst times and worst situations with toxic people is when that toxic person is like a true full-on like narcissist, where you have people, trying to rationalize or make sense of a narcissist and the toxicity they bring. Let me tell you something. That is a no-win situation. And people that are that toxic, you will not change them. You're not going to conform them. You're not going to make them see the error of their ways. So where does it land? It lands on you. It lands on you to make a choice and a decision that when you see this, now you got to deal with it. Now you have to actually make a choice. And make a choice for change. Choice and change require action. So then you have to take the action that's going to better you. I'm really happy to see my friend Effie in here. And she's going to really follow along with this next point. But toxicity, and when people are putting that out there, when people are projecting toxicity, it's not just the toxic that they're projecting and that you're receiving. But that in itself, that is an energy transference. It's an energy. It's a poisonous energy. But it's an energy. And most of us know energy transfers. So when you receive toxic, well, if you're not dealing with that toxic in the appropriate way, guess what? You will transfer toxic. Think about that a minute. Now, if I were to go over to Effie's house and we're going to sit down and have dinner and watch Netflix, right? And when I get there, oh man, I'm in the foul, nasty, negative mood. I'm just in a bad place, bad mood. So when I go in there and agree, guess what? Guess what she's going to sense right off the bat? Boom. She's going to feel the negative. She's going to be pulling that off of me because I'm just pushing it out, right? Well, it's the same thing that happens when you let yourself get clouded and crowded by toxic people because you're pulling all that in. Well, guess what? It's going to have an outlet. You're going to end up projecting that in some fashion. And how do you project it? Because you get stressed, you get anxious, you get overwhelmed, you get frustrated, you get angry. You start feeling sick to your stomach. You have the headaches. You're tense. You're tight. And You can sense those type of things. And so we have to separate from it. We have to separate that out. I shared just very brief when I just started this room with you, Lynette. I told you that this morning I actually was practicing this. I removed a toxic person from my world. And let me tell you something. The minute that I did, it was liberating. It was liberating. Like I felt a weight gone. There wasn't remorse. Like, oh man, I didn't want to do that. No, I wanted to do it. I wanted to do it. It was needed to be done, and it's done because I had to make the choice. No, I did. I procrastinated. It should have been done a week ago. But either way, I lived with my consequence. you know, I had to blow out my that toxic that I received and was holding on to, but I got rid of them and made the choice. And this topic of dealing with toxic, this is so much more important for people who are already dealing with plenty in their past, coming out of already bad relationships, for example, coming out of past trauma, dealing with maybe stuff that you're dealing with from 20 years ago that you're still dealing with. Well, you don't need toxic assholes clouding your your progress. And so it's important that we take that time, take a breath, step back, look, look at your world, look at your mindset, look at your heart, look at your spirit, look at your energy, look at how you feel physically. When you wake up and start the day, is it dread? Is it misery? Are you so tight and tense that you can't hardly get out of bed? And if that's the case, you got to find you a solution of calm. I was just talking to Effie last night about even myself that I had to let myself get away from healthy practices, healthy standpoints that can be a mainstay every day. For some people, it's yoga. For some people, it's just simply meditating. For some people, it's just chilling out, getting quiet, and listening to your favorite music. And whatever it is, do that thing. Lynette, I've talked to you enough that I know that if you don't already have something like that, that's what you need. That you need Lynette time every day, even if it's just 30 minutes. But you need some Lynette time that's just your bubble, that doesn't involve your phone or anybody else. It's just you. It's just you relaxing and taking care of you, embracing you, loving you. I want that for me. I want to do that for me. I want Effie to do that for Effie. Jason, welcome into the room late, but we're talking about toxic people, toxic situations, and the fact that we got to let them go. And sometimes it's hard for us to see that toxicity. And we have to just take a breath and really look, because we can identify when people are actually bringing us down. We can identify when somebody is hurting us. But a lot of times when we get clouded and we're not seeing it, it's because we're still dealing with so much of our own hurt from other situations that may not even have anything to do with that person. So we have to have our time, have our space. Awesome. I'm going to bring Effie up to the stage. Effie, hello.
Hello. Can you hear me?
How are you? I
I'm
can.
awesome. I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good.
I'm glad to hear that you got rid of some toxicity today. That's
I did.
incredible.
Yes. Yes. It was needed. It was good. It was healthy. All good things.
Yeah, and I love how you said like you felt no remorse after. it's important, right, to lean into that and to know that, it can just be as easy. This is making me think back to the way that I ended my last relationship. And I don't know if did I share this story with you before?
I don't think I've heard this one.
Okay,
No.
so this came about, and like I've done my work on myself, and I've enough to know that there is definitely a right way to end a relationship with a mature conversation and hopefully some understanding, right? And I was
Right.
trying to do this in like the most logical way possible. I was taking into consideration this person's feelings. Like, it just was a relationship that had run its course, and I had become aware of just how it was just done. You know when things fizzle out, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Or hopefully you do know, right? Hopefully you can understand that, and that's
Right.
what I mean. Like, I've done a lot of reflection, and I've come to terms when things have become an end. And so I wanted to, for like months, end this like the right way. And then one morning I'm in my shower and I say to myself, what if I allowed myself to show up imperfectly today? And I sat with that and I was like, yeah, okay. What if I allowed myself to just do it? What if it's not 100%, easy for me to set a boundary or to speak up for myself still? Maybe I am still learning to use my voice in these situations to,
Hmm.
advocate, right? Because we become so complacent, and it's easy. And sometimes it's easy to take someone else's feelings more into consideration than your own, And so
Hmm.
I was just like, whatever, I'm going to show up imperfectly. However it happens, I'm going to just make the decision to end it this weekend. And so my friend had texted me, and at the same time as my then boyfriend. And I responded to the wrong person.
Oh.
And I thought I was telling my friend that I was switching my plans around for the weekend, and that I was probably just going to uh, cut the cord.
Oh, wow.
and
Wow.
and I sent it to him, and he said, "Oh, cut the cord on us, huh?" And it was like, "Oh God,
Oh,
oh no."
that was an easy helper, wasn't it? Yeah.
And so I
Wow.
just kind of like threw my phone across the room and started manically laughing, because what else can you do in that situation?
Right.
but, but just laugh at the divine comedy of it. But um, obviously, that's not how I would want someone to end things with me. And I felt terrible at some point,
Right.
like I was like, shit, like, let me resolve this. And we had a very mature, very calm conversation later on and came to the same agreement. But it's just like funny how if you like, I just opened myself up to that, what if
Hmm.
I showed up imperfectly? And then all of a sudden the universe was like, okay, yeah, like, you took that restriction off of yourself. Like, you opened up, because I was trying to funnel myself into, this is my exit, this is my strategy, this is how I'll delegate it. Sometimes, I think, yeah, like, you just have to let yourself to show up how other
Yes.
people show up. And this healing journey and cycle of, observing ourselves, right, or analyzing old behaviors and thought patterns that are no longer serving us. I think that sometimes we could become too hypercritical and too scared to make an error that we freeze.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Exactly.
that's just what this conversation was kind of bringing me back to. And I thought it was funny, and maybe someone here needed to hear it.
No, I think it's, no, that's epic. But and it was kind of, it was, you know what? It was, well, it was you stayed to form,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like,
And
okay, well, it's happening.
yeah, the universe just kind of helped you out a little bit. So, but yeah, that's yeah. I've done that. I mean, in a different context a little bit, but I've totally done that. Went
Yeah.
off on a text, and it was totally to the person I was writing about. I was like, well, okay, well, there
Well,
it is. So that's how you feel. Yep, there it is. You know.
The
But
truth will come out eventually.
that's right. But I do love, and I do want to point out, uh, something you just said, that it's okay. Like, we have to let ourselves face that situation and realize the healthier. It's a weight thing, and so, and if you have gotten to that place where you are complacent, you're just used to it, but you know that you need to get out, but you don't see that avenue, right? Well, take a step back, take a breath, and really look, and then you got to make that choice. So, in your situation, Effie, you made the choice. Then you were just working out how to do that, but you
Yeah.
still, you had to make that choice, and then you were making a plan to follow through with that choice. So, that's important. And I'm sure, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm sure it felt good. Like, once you
Yeah,
were making
no,
that plan, it was a
felt
good thing.
felt like, and you know what, afterwards, and I will say, like, I knew it was the right decision for me to make. It just in mm, just because, like, I just knew it was the right decision for me to make, and I had, like, mentally prepared for it, emotionally prepared for it, and executed, and then maybe like a week after, feeling like, like, okay, I don't have to text this person back, or I don't have to worry about seeing them,
Yeah,
or,
yeah,
those things.
yeah,
I did start to wonder, like, oh my God, did I just push this person away? Did I give up? Did I, am I crazy for, not being able to deal with this or fix this? And I don't know where those thoughts were coming from. And I just had to kind of sit with them and, like, uh, pick through them and just, let them kind of show me some things. But I
yeah,
moved through it, because that's the thing. Like, you have to allow those feelings to come up. And most often, feelings of regret, when you haven't been able to advocate for yourself in the past, it'll come through, especially if you've dealt with emotional abuse in the past, or narcissistic partners like I have.
yeah, yeah,
I'm worried of a repercussion, like,
yeah,
or to be gaslit and told
absolutely.
that I'm the one that's the problem. So I had to sit
Oh
with
yeah,
that for a little bit. But I was able to recover from those thought patterns and release those thought patterns much easier than I had in the past. And I think that's the thing about the healing journey that I've noticed, is that things don't necessarily go away entirely. At times they're just easier to work through. You have tools now how to move that energy through you, or react differently, or at least be an
yeah.
observer.
And see, and that's very important. And because, listen, that same process, well, it is all toxic, but dealing with, coming out of narcissistic relationships, okay, I've been through it too. But, and my goodness, the amount of people I help with just that topic alone of dealing with narcissism.
Yeah.
But look, the thing is breaking that cycle of going from one narcissist to another narcissist. Okay,
Right.
well, that same concept can be with just simply toxic people that are just simply selfish and
Yeah.
inconsiderate and all of that. Well, don't go from that person to the other same kind of person, and that's what happens a lot of times is, you know people will trade one bad friend for another, and because, again, it gets stuck in that cycle of, well, that's just what I'm used to. And we gotta break that. We gotta get out of that. We gotta to
Yeah.
get into that healing side where we're growing past it. And yeah, so that you don't keep making the same bad choice,
Well, yeah,
because
you'll
that's
keep
sad what a lot of people
meeting
do.
the same person. Yeah, you'll keep meeting the same person in
Yeah. Oh,
different
exactly.
bodies, and then, like,
Yeah.
you'll just have to get sick of yourself one day. At least
That's
that's how
exactly
I
right.
see it.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I love it. Now, Lynette, I did toss you an invite if you want to come up here. It's just me, you, and Effie hanging out in here. So if you want to come up and share anything, you're welcome to. You don't have to. But yeah. But this is good. This is good. And so, yeah, Effie, what do you think of Fireside so far?
I do like this. I feel like the interactions and the interface is pretty simple, and the the whole aesthetic of it is nice. I like it here. It's a good show too. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really different for sure. And so I'm excited to see more of this and be a part of more conversations with you. I do have to step out, but it was a pleasure to just join in and to listen to you speak and relate and work through some of those things that resurface sometimes. And I wish you the best of luck
Yeah.
with the rest of whatever feelings come through from your release. But I know you'll be good.
I appreciate that. No, I love it, and thank you so much for jumping in here. And yeah, I'm gonna be wrapping the show up here anyway now. So but yeah, I'll hit you on the
Yeah,
back
no,
end, and have an excellent rest of your Friday.
yeah, you too. And we'll talk very soon.
Absolutely. All
Take
right,
care.
Effie. Thank you so much.
Of course.
Well, Lynette, bye. And Lynette, thank you so much for your support and for coming in here. I hope that this gave you some kind of good brain food or something to take with you. And so yeah, but I am going to be doing a show tomorrow as well. So I'm just kind of continuing the track of uh, kind of working on us and just helping us like get our world into a much healthier, much more productive place. You know, and Joanna, welcome. I'm actually just at the end of kind of wrapping this wrapping this particular topic up, but we've been talking about, well, toxic people, toxic circles, and you know, gauging a healthy standpoint of making sure that we are identifying the toxic people that could be tying us down, bringing us down, affecting us physically, affecting us emotionally, and a lot of times, and I do want to bring up real quick that a lot of times, people we hear the word toxic. Oh, that person's toxic. And nowadays, people usually kind of jump to the fact of, oh yeah, they're narcissistic. Okay, well, not everybody, not everybody that's toxic is narcissistic. Sometimes people are just toxic because they're just assholes. Like they're just selfish, inconsiderate, you know, self-absorbed, you know, no empathy. They're just they just don't really care about much except for themselves. And being an asshole doesn't necessarily mean you're a narcissist. Is the point? And there's a lot of us that like hold on to people in our world and hold on to friends and things of that nature where we know that they don't do anything good in our friendship. They're not actually bringing anything positive into your world. They just make you anxious, stressed, angry, frustrated, bring you down. They don't offer you support. They're not there for you, you know. And we were uh, just sharing some stories. Effie was sharing a story, and I shared a story as well. But let me tell you something: when you let go of toxic people, it's liberating. It's freeing. You feel better, and you physically can feel better by releasing toxic people, closing those doors. I mean, like, who wants to live in that? And God forbid if you're the one that's being the toxic person. Well, sometimes people form toxicity, and it's based on the fact that sometimes it's because they've been pulling in toxicity from other people. And we were talking about it that you know being toxic, having that toxic energy. Well, energy transfers. So if you're bringing that in, well, guess what? You're going to be projecting it out somewhere because there's got to be an outlet. So you got to start kind of looking what's filling you up. What are you taking into yourself? How do you start your day? Do you do you get out of bed like just tense and can hardly move from just tension, stress, anxiety, feeling overwhelmed, feeling angry? You got to go to work and see that person that you absolutely loathe. Why? Because they're probably toxic. And and you have to deal with those things. You got to deal with it. Don't make it a routine. Don't make it your pattern. When you turn around and start making all this stuff your pattern, well, you're just layering up your own bad element and bad energy. You're layering up your own stress. You're layering up your own anxiety, your own depression. And you gotta let that stuff go. And in addition to that, find something that you do for yourself every day. Like I was talking about earlier, I mean, and I'm making myself do this because I've been slack about it. Like I was really slack last year, and I could tell. But take time to. I don't care if yoga is your thing. Do yoga. You want to sit down, do some meditation, do some workout a little bit, chill out in a corner with a book, sit and listen to your favorite music. Get quiet. Give yourself some time to be in your own bubble, to actually make sure you're on point with yourself and feeling healthier. You got to have some decompression time. You got to have that time that you're releasing. And let me tell you something. Exercise, yoga, movement. Okay, proven fact. It releases endorphins. We all know this. But it can make you feel, one, lighter, two, happier, three, it helps you think better. It helps you process your brain better. And so if you're just surrounded by a lot of people all the time, people blowing you up on your phone, people hitting you up all the time when you go out, and it's like, you got those certain people that like you really don't want to see them. You really don't want to, see their text come through. You really don't want to have to return their phone call. Well, guess what? Might be time to evaluate. Do you need to just kind of like separate off? Pack your bags, hit the road, And sometimes that's necessary. Sometimes it's necessary, and it's liberating. Joanne, I was sharing a story in the beginning here that I was practicing my own message here, and I got to close the door on a toxic person this morning, and I procrastinated with it, like because I should have done it like a week and a half ago, but I didn't. But I did it this morning, and let me tell you what, there was no regret, there was no remorse, there was a breath of fresh air, baby. I was liberated. That weight was lifted, and I feel better. And you'll feel better. And when you start letting things go, letting people go that just don't need to be there, that's you making room for the beautiful new chapter that you're still writing. That's going to be your life now in 2022. That's where we got to go. So start doing some stuff for you. All of you. Start doing some stuff for you. I'm going to do it too. I'm going to do some stuff for me. And we're going to start making positive, happy, progressive steps in our life. Don't regress. And if you feel yourself regressing, then it means that you need to take pause and you need to do a self-evaluation and really start looking at what is it that's pulling you back? What is it that's pulling you down? And then deal with it. Don't put it off. Deal with it. Because you will feel better for it. And you will live happier for it. And you will be able to wake up in the morning and guess what? Your days will start getting happier and happier the more that you start dealing with the stuff that needs to be detached from you. Well, guys, I want to thank you for sitting in here with me. If you missed the beginning of this, I'd definitely invite you to listen to the replay. And I'm going to be back with you tomorrow, kind of continuing back down some of the same track. And we're going to be going into a little bit of a different topic, where we're going to talk about like the impact of all of this, and also the impact of when we've dealt with narcissists and bad relationships, and what the emotional abuse factor is, and how we deal with that, how we get past it. So that's what I'm going to be talking about with you tomorrow. And meanwhile, today, I hope your Friday is going absolutely awesome. I hope you're going to do something relaxing for yourself today. Have a little selfish time for you. And I'm going to have a short day today. And then I'm going to probably have a couple of day pints. But I'm Irish. I can do that. But you guys can too. So it's all right. But with that said, have a very blessed, very wonderful rest of your Friday. And I hope that you're gearing up for a wonderful weekend. And until next time, bright, bright blessings to all of you. Cheers.
It's no secret